It was 9 o'clock at night in Bridgewood, a small, quiet town in Illinois where nothing much ever happened. Ryan was just about to call it a night, maybe watch a movie, when he saw it. A sliver of brown peeking out from under his front door. He walked over, a little confused. He wasn't expecting any mail, especially not hand-delivered at this hour. He picked it up. It was a standard brown envelope, plain and unassuming. But there was no name on it, no return address, nothing to indicate who it was from or why it was left at his door. Just a single, cryptic line typed neatly across the front. "You deserve to know the truth." His heart started to beat a little faster. This felt ... strange, like something out of a spy movie. He tore it open, his curiosity getting the better of his caution. Inside, there wasn't a letter. There was just a small black USB drive. Nothing else. He hesitated for a moment, staring at the little piece of plastic in his hand. This could be anything. A virus, a prank. But the words on the envelope echoed in his mind. "You deserve to know the truth." What truth? He walked over to his laptop, his mind racing. Who would do this, and why him? He lived a simple life. He was a librarian, for crying out loud. His biggest drama was an overdue book. He plugged the USB into the port, holding his breath. A single video file popped up on the screen. He double-clicked it. The video flickered to life. The quality was grainy, like it was filmed in a dimly lit room. A figure sat in a chair, completely shrouded in shadow except for the stark white mask they wore. It was one of those blank, expressionless masks that was somehow more unsettling than a monster's face. The figure leaned forward, their voice distorted, low and raspy. They looked directly into the camera, as if they were staring right into Ryan's soul. "Someone close to you," the voice crackled, "is hiding something. Something that can destroy you." A chill ran down Ryan's spine. Someone close to him. He thought of his friends, his family. Who could possibly be hiding something so terrible? The figure continued, their tone unwavering. "If you want the truth, the whole truth, meet me at the old train station tomorrow night. 11 o'clock. Come alone." The video cut to black. Ryan just sat there, staring at the blank screen, the distorted voice still ringing in his ears. The train station. It had been abandoned for years. His mind was a whirlwind of questions. Who was this person? What was this devastating secret? And most importantly, should he go? His quiet life in Bridgewood had just been shattered, and he had a feeling that no matter what he chose, nothing would ever be the same again. Thanks for watching. If you want to find out what happens next, make sure to subscribe. The station was eerily silent, a stark contrast to the usual daytime hustle. It was a cathedral of echoes where every whisper seemed to travel for miles. A distant train whistle cut through the cold night air, a lonely, mournful sound that seemed to amplify the emptiness around me. I stood under the weak, flickering lights of the platform, my breath misting in front of my face. My anxiety was a tight knot in my stomach, but a stronger feeling, a sense of grim determination, kept me rooted to the spot. I had to know the truth. I had to face whatever was coming. The flickering bulb above me cast dancing shadows, making the familiar station feel alien and threatening. Each time it buzzed and dimmed, my heart skipped a beat, my imagination painting figures in the shifting darkness. A faint scuff of a shoe on the concrete behind me. It was so quiet I almost missed it, but my nerves were stretched so taut that the slightest sound was like a gunshot. I spun around, my hand instinctively reaching for the heavy mag light in my jacket pocket. A figure stood there, partially cloaked in the shadows cast by a support pillar. It was a woman, wrapped in a long, dark coat that seemed to swallow the dim light. Her face was obscured by the collar turned up against the chill and the shadows from her wide-brimmed hat. But her posture was anything but timid. She stood her ground, exuding an air of calm authority that was both unnerving and strangely reassuring. "Ryan." Her voice was steady, low, and clear, cutting through the silence without a hint of tremor. It was a voice I didn't recognize, yet it felt like she knew me intimately. Someone is playing with your past. They're manipulating you, pulling strings you don't even know exist. I came to protect you. My heart, which was already beating a frantic rhythm, kicked into overdrive. It hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. Who was this woman? How did she know my name? What did she mean? Someone was playing with my past. The questions swirled in my mind, a chaotic storm of confusion and fear. Who are you? I managed to choke out, my voice barely a whisper. How do you know about me? She took a small step forward, moving just enough for the flickering light to catch a glimpse of her eyes. They were sharp, intelligent, and filled with a weariness that spoke of long, hard battles. She opened her mouth to answer, to finally give me the key that might unlock this whole nightmare. And in that exact moment, with a sound like a giant's sigh, every single light in the station snapped off. We were plunged into absolute, suffocating darkness. The sudden blackness was disorienting, a sensory deprivation that sent a fresh wave of panic through me. Before my eyes could even begin to adjust, a deafening crack echoed through the cavernous space. A gunshot, the sound was sharp, violent, and terrifyingly close. It ripped through the night, followed by the ping of the bullet ricocheting off metal somewhere in the darkness. Before I could even process what had happened, the woman's hand shot out and grabbed my arm in a grip of surprising strength. "Get down," she hissed. She pulled me with a force that sent me stumbling, and we tumbled together off the edge of the platform, landing hard on the gravel and steel of the track bed below. The fall knocked the wind out of me, and the sharp stones dug into my hands and knees. Above us, I heard the sound of running footsteps on the platform, heavy and urgent. "They found us," the woman whispered, her voice a tight, urgent breath next to my ear. Her tone had lost its earlier calm. Now it was laced with a chilling desperation. We're already too late, lying there in the cold, dusty darkness, with the smell of oil and steel filling my nostrils and the echo of the gunshot still ringing in my ears. I knew my life had just been irrevocably shattered. The game had just begun, and I was already a pawn in a battle I didn't understand. Thank you for watching, and if you're hooked on this mystery, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next chapter. The world can change in an instant. For Ryan, that instant came with the rising sun, filtering through the grime of a run-down motel window. He wasn't alone. A woman stood silhouetted against the pale light, her gaze fixed on the empty parking lot below. "My name is Lena," she said, her voice a quiet ripple in the stillness of the room. Ryan's head throbbed, a dull ache that was nothing compared to the storm about to break. "Your father," Lena continued, turning to face him, her eyes holding a depth of sorrow and urgency he couldn't comprehend. "He didn't die in an accident." Each word was a hammer blow against the reality Ryan had built. An accident. That's what the official report said. A tragic, senseless accident. He was about to expose a massive level of government corruption, Lena explained, her voice dropping to a near whisper. "The people who silenced him, they're not finished. They're coming after you now." The floor seemed to tilt, the room spinning around him. The video he'd received, that chilling, anonymous threat. It wasn't a prank, it was a promise. The video, the threat. He managed to ask, his own voice sounding distant and hollow. Lena nodded grimly. "They want you scared. They want you running. Because you, Ryan, are the only one who can finish what he started." Ryan stared at her, a stranger who held the shattered pieces of his life in her hands. Why him? What could he possibly do? "They're afraid of you," Lena said, as if reading his thoughts. "Because you're the only one who can decipher the code your father left behind." With a deliberate movement, she walked to the cheap nightstand beside the bed. She pulled open the drawer and retrieved a small, unassuming blue notebook. The cover was worn, the edges soft with use. It felt impossibly heavy as she placed it in his trembling hands. "This," she said, her gaze locking with his, "is where the truth begins." He opened it. The first page was filled with a complex, dizzying array of symbols, numbers, and letters, a language he didn't understand. And beneath the cryptic scrawl, a single line of his father's familiar handwriting jumped out at him. A stark warning from beyond the grave: trust no one in uniform. The words chilled him to the bone. Police, military, who could he turn to? The message was clear. He was on his own, adrift in a sea of lies. Or was he? He looked up at Lena, this mysterious woman who had appeared out of nowhere. Could he trust her? He had no choice. Their journey had just begun, a desperate race against an unseen enemy. But as they prepared to leave the transient safety of that motel room, they were oblivious to a crucial fact. Every move they made, every whispered word, every beat of their anxious hearts was already being watched. A tiny lens, hidden in the smoke detector on the ceiling, silently broadcast their every action to a dark room miles away, where a figure sat cloaked in shadow, a cold smile playing on their lips. The game was afoot, and Ryan was no longer just a grieving son. He was the key, the target, and the most dangerous player on the board. He just didn't know it yet. Lena explained that his father, a brilliant cryptographer working for a government subcontractor, had stumbled upon a conspiracy that reached the highest echelons of power. It wasn't just about money, it was about control. A project codenamed Argus, designed to create a total surveillance network, had been twisted into a tool for political assassination and blackmail. His father had created an unbreakable encryption to safeguard the evidence, a digital key that was hidden within the very code Ryan now held. "The notebook isn't just a code," Lena clarified, tracing a finger over the complex symbols. "It's a map. Each puzzle you solve will lead you to a piece of the key." Ryan's mind reeled. He was a history teacher, not a spy. He spent his days discussing ancient civilizations, not dodging shadowy government agents. "I can't do this," he said, the weight of it all crashing down on him. "I'm not my father." Lena's expression softened, but her voice remained firm. "You don't have to be him. You just have to be his son. He taught you to see patterns, to solve puzzles, to think differently. He was preparing you for this your whole life, without you even knowing it." She pointed to a specific sequence in the notebook. "Look, this isn't random. It's a star chart. The constellation Lyra, your mother's favorite." A memory sparked in Ryan's mind, stargazing with his father as a child, learning the myths behind the constellations. It was a language they shared, a secret world built for two. Hope, fragile but persistent, began to flicker within him. Maybe he could do this. The first clue led them not to a hidden safe or a secret agent, but to the city's old observatory, a place Ryan hadn't visited in years. As they navigated the darkened, silent halls, the feeling of being watched intensified. Every creak of the floorboards, every shadow in the corner, felt like a threat, hidden behind a loose panel in the grand celestial library. They found the next piece, a small, intricately carved wooden bird, a replica of one his father had made for him when he was a boy. And tucked beneath its wing, a tiny scroll of paper with another coded message. But as Ryan unrolled it, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the main entrance. They weren't alone. A team of operatives, clad in black tactical gear, swept through the observatory with chilling efficiency. "They're here," Lena whispered, pulling him into the shadows of a towering bookshelf. "They tracked the GPS on my phone." A desperate chase ensued. A frantic scramble through dusty corridors and down winding staircases. They were cornered, trapped in the planetarium dome. The operatives closed in, their weapons raised. Just as all seemed lost, Lena activated a device on her wrist. A powerful electromagnetic pulse erupted, disabling all the electronics in the building lights, even the operatives' night vision. The world was plunged into absolute darkness and chaos. "Go," Lena yelled, shoving Ryan towards a maintenance hatch. "The next clue is in the bird. Don't stop. Don't look back." Ryan scrambled through the hatch and out into the cold night air, his heart pounding in his chest. He didn't look back. He ran, clutching the wooden bird, the words of his father echoing in his mind. Trust no one in uniform. He now understood the full weight of that warning. The people hunting him were the very ones sworn to protect. He was an enemy of the state, but he held the one thing that could expose them all. Alone, hunted, and armed, with nothing but a child's toy and a cryptic notebook, Ryan's new life had begun. The truth was a dangerous prize, and the hunt for it would cost him everything he thought he knew. The question was no longer if he could do it, but what he was willing to become to see it through. Thanks for watching, and if you're hooked on Ryan's story, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter.